capo on the 2nd fret. And the tuning of this song is kind of like a weird, tried to tune to open D but gave up halfway through kind of tuning. Goes D, A, D, F sharp, and then B, just like regular. So B and E don't touch. Really the only strings you change are you tune your E down to a D and your G down to an F sharp. You got, should sound like that with the capo on the 2nd fret. That's the key that she plays it in on the album. Live sometimes she does it with the capo 1 fret lower, but for the album it's on the 2nd fret. So the first part, I'm just going to go through it in order, I guess, because there's some parts where there's solos over different guitar parts. I'll probably just do those when I get to them, because there's 2.5 kind of solos. There's 2 solos, and then 1 solo that's kind of like a solo that's played at the same time as the chords. It's that part, but that part's at the same time as the chords, so we'll just do that then. So the intro, first thing you play is open E. The only thing you're fretting is the 7th fret D string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's right. Relative to the capo, so 7th fret D string. And then you're gonna drop your middle finger on the 7th fret G string, and then alternate. And right after you do that, you're gonna drop that down to the 5th fret on the G string with your first finger. Alternate again. So you're going back up to the 7th fret on the D string and immediately hitting that open A string. So all together, only on the 7th fret D string, open, alternate. Then from there you go down to the 5th fret on the D string and do that little trill kind of. And then you're going to hit this chord. So you're going to go middle finger on the, I guess, 5th fret low E string. Your first finger is going to be on the 4th fret on the D string. Your 3rd finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the G string, and then your pinky on the 5th fret of the B string. Should sound like that. So from the intro all together slowly so far, it's rewind or pause if you have to. There's a lot of parts, so I'm just going to go kind of quick. But yeah, so the first part of the intro, first half. And then she stays on that for a while. And then the second part of the intro, the only thing that changes is how she goes into it. So instead of, she goes. So you start your slide from the 5th fret on the B string, and you strum it, and move that right up to the 7th. So kind of do a strum a little bit, make sure you hit that that B string note again, and then exactly the same. All that's the same, and then the only thing that changes with this is she'll take her 3rd finger and move it from the G string down to the D string, and then she'll take it off. And that's kind of a little motif that's repeated kind of a lot over that chord, so it goes. And then you get into the first verse part. So altogether the intro without her singing is... Alright, then the first verse, which is the only time it gets played like how I'm about to play it, is very similar. The only thing that really changes is the timing. So instead of, it goes. So you're going to go strum, open E, 7th fret B string. Go straight to your 7th fret G string. And then you're going to slide that down to your 5th fret on the G string. And you're going to hang out there for a while. And then you're going to, I find it's easiest with my pinky to move up to the D string on the 7th fret. And that's the part where it goes, I'm so tired of moving on. This chord's exactly the same. She'll do that sometimes, most of the time I think. It changes depending on how she's playing live, but every weekend, so far gone. And that's kind of how that part goes. One part she'll change sometimes is instead of going, she'll go. So after doing that part from earlier, she'll come over here and go on the A string from the 7th fret to the 5th fret. And that'll just go right back into how the verse was. So all together with that part. I've only seen her do it live a couple times. I didn't hear it on the studio version. It might be in there, I'm not sure, but she does it like that sometimes, and I think it kind of adds depth, so I play it like that. I'm so tired of moving on. Alright, that's that part, and eventually she ends it, you know. Woke up in my clothes having dreamt of you, you just end on that chord. Now you're into really the meat of the song. And that has the first main solo. So I'll run through the chords first in that progression, and then I will do that solo. So the chords are pretty simple. They change slightly whenever she plays it. I try and keep it pretty simple, so you have kind of the same feel without complicating it too much. So it's basically sort of like a little mini power chord. A string, 5th fret, D string, 7th fret, and you really want to hear that open E string, which is a D. Just a kind of simple chord right there. And then a lot of times when she's singing, or when she's not singing, she does this a lot. After she does that, she'll go here to the D string on the 4th fret, and do like a little alternation with the 5th fret on the D string, yeah, D string. Into the next chord. So the first chord should sound like. And the second chord is just 5th fret on the E string, 7th fret on the G string. And at the end of that pinky alternates up 1 fret and back down. 2-finger chords. Super easy. And the strumming pattern just kind of, it's hard to explain the strumming pattern really because it's really syncopated. It just kind of, you have to listen to the drum beats because it goes really in line with that. I honestly have no clue how to explain that strumming pattern. I guess just listen really hard and try and figure it out. It's not that tough and it stays pretty consistent throughout the whole song. But yeah, that main solo, which is like the main solo of the song. Obviously my guitar is not overdriven to hell like hers is, but it's the same notes. So you're going to start on your high E string on the 3rd fret with your 2nd finger, but you want to keep your 1st finger down on the 2nd fret. Yeah, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. So it's going to start down to the 3rd fret of the B string, so. And then you're going to go down 1 fret further, so. Slide up to the 7th fret, back down to the 5th fret. That's the first part. Second part, out of 4 parts really, she goes 3rd fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret, so. And that all sounds like she's sliding it to me. So all together. third part, you come up to, I think it's the 12th fret, 2 frets after what your 12th fret would be with no capos. Yeah, 12th fret. And you're gonna bar your highest 3 strings. And then up on the 14th fret, you're gonna have your 3rd finger on the E string. And you're gonna strum it, but as you strum down, that should be the chord shape. Should sound like that. You're gonna take that off and then hit it again. You're gonna hit your B string, I think. That kind of, it sounds a lot closer to how she does it in the song when you have all the distortion on it, but I'm not changing it for a tutorial. So all together. And you'll go, yeah, I guess 7th fret. Not sure what fret that is, I guess 12, 13, 14, 15. So 7, 15, 12, I guess that'd be 14. So this is on the E string, so 7, 15, then on the B string, you go to 12, then your D string, you go to 14, and then on your G string, it is 13, 13, 12. I guess rewind that a couple times because that's just a lot of numbers, but it should sound like this when you're done. So it's 2 strums, slide, 2 strums, 2 strums, and that's a pull off right there. So all together, that solo, this is the hardest solo. The other solo is just, that one's easy, but this is the tough one. So all together. Whoops. And so those same chords from earlier. These chords also translate to the second verse, and they are the same chords that are being played under the second solo, so I'm just going to skip them after the chorus. So after you run through these enough times, she goes to the chorus, you know. Whoever it is. That part. So that's where we are now. So the first chord there, and you come right out of this. Right into that. So it's going to be 7th fret with your, you gotta leave your first finger out. It's your middle finger on the E string of the 7th fret. You're going to mute the A string with the sort of backside of your finger. I'll probably do it anyway if you're not super arched, but yeah. So 7, mute, 7, 7 with your 3rd and pinky. And then you really don't want to hear the B or E string. And then you're going to migrate that whole shape down to the 5th fret just for like a second, like 1 strum. So it goes. Then you have this chord. These are the prettiest chords in the song, in my opinion. But yeah, this is basically just an E major shape, starting with pretending like the nut is here. But yeah, it's an E major shape, but you take these 2 fingers and just move them up to the E and A string. So it is 4th fret, E and A string, and then sort of mute the D string, then G string is 3rd fret. And then you're going to move that down to the 2nd and 1st fret, and you're going to add your pinky on the B string on the 3rd fret, which is kind of a tricky chord shape, but. And then you're going to slide this back up to the chord that it was before, taking your pinky off. So all together, I know that was a lot of chords, so. And that's the part, if you care about lead guitar stuff, where it goes. Which I guess is just 12, 11, 10, 9, 9, 2 on the A string. that part. That's kind of like, I don't know, it's a cool part. Yeah, so there's that part, and you're here, and then you're gonna take your third finger and your pinky, and you're basically gonna move the E and the A string up 1 fret basically, but you're gonna have to switch some fingers. So it's gonna wind up looking like this, with your third finger on the 5th fret E string and your pinky on the 5th fret A string, and this finger doesn't move at all. So you go. This is exactly where it is. So you go from otherwise. This is just your top 3 strings all on the 2nd fret. If only sometimes would you. And then this fun chord where she goes middle finger, E string 5th fret. Your pointer finger is on the G string 4th fret. Your pinky goes on the 7th fret of the B string. So that's kind of a nice gross stretch. Let's give it up. So after you hit this chord, you're going to move down. Your pinky is going to come down on the same string it is, down to the 5th fret. And you're going to put your ring finger on the 5th fret on the D string. That's the chord. So I'm going to play through the whole chorus part slowly, as written in the song. So. Switch. Holds there. This chord, add your pinky. 'Cause I know I did. Same part. You're leaving this finger here. Wise. If only sometimes would you stretch. Give it up, green eyes. Yeah, back to this chord progression. This is where you get the second solo, which is easy as dirt, all on the A string. You're gonna go 9th fret on the A string, so you're just gonna hold it. Yeah, so after you hold it, you're gonna go down to the 7th fret and immediately slide back to the 5th, and then touch the 7th again with your 3rd finger. So. And then you're gonna take your 3rd finger off again, slide down to the 2nd fret. And that's half the solo, so. Then you slide back up with your 3rd finger, you're gonna slide back up to the 9th fret. And then, yeah, so. Do a little alternation with the 7th fret. Same thing as before here, but instead of sliding down to the 2nd, you're going to slide back up to the 9th. So it goes 9, 7, 5, 7, 5, 2, 9, 7, 9, 9, 7, yeah, 9, 9, 7, 5, 7, 5, 9, all on the A string, and then back into, you know, verse. Which that verse is exactly the same chord-wise as the first. But after that one, she won't go into another chorus. She'll go into the little I'm not into sometimes part. So that part is the toughest rhythmically in the song to play along with and sing. You're gonna, whatever finger, it doesn't matter, I use my middle finger to play the 3rd fret on the G string, and that's the only string, and then release it on your last drum. So down, down, up, down, up. And then you're going to, I guess you could play it with your 3rd finger to start, but you're going to put your 1st finger on the 2nd fret, low E string, and play that same note. Same strumming pattern, sort of. back to this chord, which is a part of the chorus. This one where it's like, that's the same chord. Okay, so that's how she'll play it the first time through. Second time through is slightly different and includes that sort of, it sounds like it's a solo, but she's actually playing notes while she's playing the chords to make it sound like a solo, but you can play it just by yourself. You don't need another guitar player. So she'll go, this part's the same, that part's the same, this is the second time through, this part's the same until she'll take her first finger and move it off the G string and move it down to the B string. And then your pinky, which has been up here, is going to come down to the 5th fret, so it's going to go. But it's all while you're strumming, so it goes. So then after that is the little solo part. So you're going to slide up to the 7th fret on the B string. And you're going to go back down and play this shape, except instead of just having these two notes, you're going to add your pinky under it to sort of tie in that line. So it's going to go. And then you're going to play that chord from the intro and verses. This one. Except at the very end of it, you're going to kind of melt the whole chord down except for your middle finger. So pinky comes off, these two fingers move down one string. So pinky off, these two fingers come down one string. Then it goes back into another normal round of. So if you're having trouble with these chords that showed up earlier in the song, just rewind and learn those fingerings in there. This video is going to be an hour long if I go into every single one of them again. But yeah, that whole part coming out of the last verse, I guess, would you... Before she heads into the little palm muted part, she'll go. And all that is you just add your middle finger one fret up from where your first finger is. So that's G string, 4th fret. And that's going to be a common motif in the end part. But after that part, that's where she goes, I'm feeling low. Which is pretty much the exact same chords, but you don't need to do as much work, and it's all palm muted. So if you don't know how to palm mute, that's really important, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube that could explain it better than I could, because I'm not a very good teacher. But yeah, so you're gonna palm mute the first chord, which is that, but you don't even need to play anything, so you can just go. And then you can bring your 2 fingers up here, play the E and A string. So that's it, it's that easy. I'm feeling low. And then it's this, you have to play this whole chord, because that's when it sort of, instead of just playing the first 2 or 3 strings, you sort of leak it out into the whole chord. And do that little move with your middle finger again. I'm not into sometimes. Same thing through this part. I'm not in. Slow it down. 2, and then you just hold that chord out. And then it's 3 strokes. And then you go back into. Except this time, instead of coming off, you'll go. She'll end it, she'll go. So this is the sort of outro part that I think is really pretty, which is, it's just, you know, that part. So it's all single downstrokes. You're gonna go everything open except for the 7th fret B string. And then it is middle finger on 5th fret low E string, and then your pointer finger on the G string on the 4th fret. So, and then you're going to take your finger off the bass note, so, and move it down 1 fret. Then you're going to do the same thing here, so it is middle finger on the 2nd fret low E string, and then on the 1st fret on the G string, and then just completely open, so. And you're to come back with your middle finger on the 5th fret E string, but instead of doing the 4th fret on the G string, you're gonna do the 5th. And then you're gonna finish on that same thing exactly where you started, so. Alright, that is every part of the song in weird, discombobulated, I don't know, order. I'm not a good teacher, so if you have questions, please ask, because I'm aware that this is not perfect. Alright, thanks.